Hiya Hinsters, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome too. Let me just adjust this window here. Yes, hiya, I am Hinny, a spiritual astrologer, and if you'd like a reading with me, you can check out the description below. And apologies, my computer is doing some crazy shiz right now. We're back, yes, but if you'd like a reading with me, you can check out the description below. Happy Saturn day to all, and I sincerely hope you've been keeping safe and well. Don't forget, if you're a Capricorn sun, there's still a few days left for you to take me up on my offer of 20% off all my services for Capricorn suns only. You can also book a gift for a loved one who is a Capricorn sun as well. Just check out the description below. Alrighty, so today we have another Moonwatch episode for those more interested in the moon specifically and its applications in astrology. So the moon, while often called a planet in astrology, is also one of the two so-called luminaries. That is then that it's pretty literally bright and unmissable in the sky, the moon. Usually at least once a month, unless you live in a place like cloudy London, where even the full moon can be a bit elusive, which by the way is another kind of moon quality. Illusion, is that the right word? E-L-U-S-I-O-N. Elusiveness. But maybe also illusions, like I-L-L-U-S. I-O-N. Let me stop spelling things. But if you're interested in the differences anyway between the full and the new moons, you can check out my the second last video that I did on that. So yes, people, for time immemorial have looked up at this big, bright, nighttime luminary, and it has inspired countless poems and songs, and it is also associated with things like madness or intensity, and all that is clandestine, hidden under the cloak of the night. It had also evoked in us people, as humans, a sense of beauty and mystery, as well as a sense of drunkenness, which could sort of pull us out of our daytime sway and into something more wild. The moon also represents, in our own birth charts, how we draw in. It's one of the drawing in planets in your chart, whether this be drawing in of people, things, situations, or energies. It's just like how the moon is said to have an impact on or connection to the tides here on planet Earth or to water. And so the moon does reflect our subconscious on some level, things to which we are sort of more subconsciously pulled. The moon is also about reactions, how we react to people, things, situations, energies, and often more in an emotional way. This is sometimes thought to be different to the sun, which is closer to maybe how we act, take action, or what we gravitate towards with confidence, or what we're already comfortable and confident about. Those situations where we are most aware and wherein the truth is most illuminated for us. That's the sun. So you can learn a lot with the moon then about how someone might react emotionally to something that you say or you do just by knowing their moon sign. The moon is of course also about responsibility, kind of like with reactions again and reacting, but here in the sense of how we take care of things, how we handle things, and how we nurture. If you're a Hinster, you might know this, but I've often on my channel used the term emotional reservoir. It's not my term, by the way. I think it's a psychological or therapy type of term. I'll put in the description below a link to a book on the emotional reservoir. But I use this term to describe the moon in our birth charts. And this really has to do with this idea that the moon represents emotional reflection. It is the deep, dark part of us that feels the way we feel about things, whether or not we're going to admit it or even be conscious of it. This emotional reflection needs to be appreciated and taken care of. We do therefore need to protect ourselves and this reservoir from emotional abuse, whether someone or something outside is the abuser, or we ourselves are doing the abuse. The moon is also kind of like reflective surfaces, especially silver, but also like the reflection of the sea or the puddles on the ground, and even mirrors that you look into. Right now the moon's in Pisces, so it's really similar to sort of Piscean energy a lot of the time. In fact, in the tarot, the moon card is often associated with Pisces. Yeah, reflective surfaces, the sea, the puddles, even mirrors that you look into. Metal or water or a mirror, we have to ensure that these things are as clean as possible so that it can reflect back at us the truth of our feelings as purely as possible. That, of course, is not necessarily easy because, again, in the tarot, for example, the moon card is often associated also with murkiness, confusion, and things like not yet being clear. And some tarot readers, they really don't like the moon card when it comes out. Another thing that I'm actually learning about the moon is that it's not who we are deep down, or at least not exclusively. And I have to thank Achyuta Bhavadasa and his course that I'm currently taking in traditional astrology for reminding me that we are in fact our entire chart, all of the planetary placements. And so the moon isn't anymore a representation of you as your Venus, or your Mars, or your Jupiter. Of course, I do respect other people's different interpretations of the moon. This is just like what I have come to resonate more with. But anyway, yes, the moon isn't who we are deep down, but it's again how we emotionally feel still. And that is actually on a very deep down sort of level. Let's talk a little bit about receptivity now. The moon itself, as a planet or luminary or body, whatever you want to call it, technically the moon is much faster than Mercury, though it's Mercury that's often pegged as the planet of our intelligence. Yet, astrologically speaking, emotional intelligence, the moon in our chart, this emotional intelligence sort of engine, is what is much more powerful, and you probably receive truth more quickly through how you feel than through literal words, speech, and so on that you're engaging with. And so what it kind of means is that your initial feeling about what someone has written or what someone has said, that will tell you deep down much more about what they are really writing or saying, if that makes sense, and more quickly as well. Often before you've even finished reading or listening to that person or reading that book, whatever it is. Still, with the moon, it can be harder for us to articulate or even be aware of this quick receptivity, or to be in touch with our emotional intelligence, because this type of receptive learning is about intuition, and our intuition is quite often suppressed or ignored. And if you have the moon in the third house, by the way, it is said that you have the moon in its joy, in the house of localities and immediate surroundings, and the house of everyone in your vicinity, where the moon can basically readily engage with and pick up on all sorts of truth, basically wherever you, the individual, may be. Okay, so the moon is also associated with the mother quite often. In astrology, this is often taken quite literally, as in the moon in your birth chart is said to be how we can interpret your biological mother's emotional reservoir, or how the biological mother reacts, and all sorts of other things, such as which themes the mother is more engaged with, how grand or hard going the mother's life is or was. But we can expand this a little. The moon is all kinds of mother, actually. It is all kinds of mothering, whether biological or not, and also regardless of sexes and genders. It's whatever or whoever mothers you, whatever or whoever provides you comfort, protection, nurturing. So yes, we do associate the mother also with our personal needs, with our personal attachments, our emotional security. This also includes sexual needs as well, if you have any, which may be sort of something to consider if you're interested in compatibility. Okay, let me take some sippy. This is my gorgeous vitamin C tea that I mentioned in another video. I think on the Venus live stream. But yes, we can use the moon itself as a daily guide in astrology for our lives, as a way to healthily respond to our surroundings and our situations. So again, this word respond, responding, reacting to, taking care of things. So the moon again moves pretty quickly through the signs, spending less than 3 days in each of the zodiac signs. And so there's plenty room for us to mix things up energetically in our day-to-day responses to the world. And when we learn about the zodiacal energies of each transit, and we learn about the shadows and the lights of each of these zodiac sign archetypes, we will eventually become more adept to using lunar astrology to help us immensely in that day-to-day. You can actually use a free resource such as planetwatcher.com to see which sign the moon is in on any given day. This is of course from this perspective of tropical astrology, and you can have a go on that given day and try swimming with the energies accordingly. The moon also deals with deep desires and yearning, cravings even. Again, there's this wild side to the moon, which, if we're not careful, will carry us away from the mundane quicker than we can even process. This isn't always a bad thing though. Gosh, we do need to escape reality a bit more sometimes for our emotional health and well-being. But yes, the moon has this recklessness to it and this fickleness to it. It can catch us off guard and it can stir us up in the emotional reactions. And it can stir us up. It can stir the pot more than Mercury, actually, and cause emotional reactions in us that seemingly come out of nowhere. The moon also, which is associated with fears as well as comforts, oddly, can toy us around. It can toy us around with a very regular pattern as well, like regularly toying us around. It can toss us around in and out of our personal comfort zones, and also making us therefore reckless or angry or spiteful or sad or paranoid. And it's in an odd sort of beautiful way. There's a perfectly natural thing to all of this, wherein so long as we don't go to any particular extreme and we are aware that everything must move along, then we can actually take a lot from lunar energy and allow ourselves to process emotions and not ignore them. Or maybe we can call them moods when we talk about the moon, the moody moon. And we can allow ourselves more often to just sit in our moods rather than avoid them, to actually play with them. I'd like to end this video by quoting a verse from Björk's song titled Lion Song. I'll link it in the description later, but to perhaps better illustrate the moon and its magical sort of effects on us. The lyrics anyway, they go, and I quote, "Once it was simple, one feeling at a time. These abstract, complex feelings, I just don't know how to handle them. Should I throw oil on one of these moods? But which one? The joy peak, humor peak, frustration peak, anything peak for clarity." So, and that's the end of the verse. So yeah, us humans, we need to simply embrace the build-up, the peak, and then the transformation out of feelings and into new ones, to accept this as a natural part of who we are. And again, to play with it, even to throw oil on it, to use Björk's words, to allow also the moon to sometimes help you achieve that eventual clarity through your intuition and your gut instinct, no matter how painful or up and down or confusing it might be in the moment. But anyway, I hope this moon watch video helped or was of some interest. I am always wishing you well and look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Mwah. Oh, actually, there's another thing I wanted to say. I wanted to recommend you some music that I've been guided to listen to, or guided to tell you to listen to. And this song is a hymn. And this hymn, which was most likely played on a lyre, and sung in a now dead language. This hymn was written as a tribute to Nikal. Again, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing this properly, but Nikal, a Hurrian moon goddess. And this was written around 1400 BCE by the Hurrians. This hymn is often said to have been one of the oldest songs written on a stone tablet. So again, I'll include it in the description below. But what I'm going to share with you in the link is a Phoenician version of this hymn. And this Phoenician version I've been very familiar with for years now. It's very profound. It's one of my favorite pieces of music ever. And I wanted to share it with you if it resonates. Maybe you can play it loud in your house. But even if not, you can just close your eyes when you're listening to it and immerse and imagine what the tribute of this hymn to the moon goddess was for. Like, what do we feel it was about? I read that one theory about this hymn is that it was like a prayer for mothers who had lost children or who couldn't have children. But maybe it was also just more of a joyous song to the goddess, this moon goddess, Nikal. Anyway, bye, Hinsters. I love you very much. Please always take care, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.